Things have changed quite a bit since you and I were in school, haven't they? As families have changed and values have shifted, legislatures and school boards have wrestled with how to write the rules to accommodate this sweeping transformation. For some, the answer is to campaign for schools to get back to those basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic. For others, a school should be a reflection of the diverse cultures which make up the student population. Of course, that often leads to some pretty contentious school board meetings. But what if there was a bigger answer, a different answer, a bigger vision than the cultural tug of war playing out in our public schools? Tonight, our guest is a woman who says the answer can be found in the Bible, right there in public schools. Intrigued? Then stay with us. If I were to tell you that there are thousands of children every school day in America's public schools who have access to a Bible, you might say, Joe, you're crazy. If I were to tell you that there weren't any smuggling or covert operation required to make it happen, I think I'd have your attention. Well, tonight's guest, Kori Pennypacker, leads an organization called Bible to School. Maybe you've heard about it, but maybe you even thought about volunteering for it. Before we visit with Kori, I want you to watch this first.
My name is Erica, and my husband and I have 3 kids who are in public school. When I first heard about Bible to School and that you can actually teach the Bible to kids during their school day, it just seemed like an amazing opportunity.
At Bible to School, we miss recess, but that's okay. We'll eat our lunch while a teacher teaches a Bible lesson.
It's easy for parents to sign their kids up because they don't have to provide transportation. Their kid goes to Bible to School during their school day. I felt like, hey, I need to maybe text some parents I know, tell them about Bible to School. She texted back and said, our son has been asking us questions about God, and we don't go to church, so we don't know how to answer him. Every kid should have the opportunity to hear the gospel and have the chance to respond to it, and Bible to School provides that.
Well, in 2009, Lori began working with Bible to School as a volunteer. Today, she's the CEO of an organization that's growing and thriving. It's one of those pieces of evidence that if you and your family are a believing Christian family in public school, you're not alone. Kori, welcome to State of Independence.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Yeah, we're just so delighted to have you. So tell us about you, Kori. Are you a native Pennsylvanian?
I am. I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Specifically, I live in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, and I am a veteran Navy wife. So my husband and I traveled around the country for the first part of our marriage and lived different places and settled back here where the grandparents are, and 3 boys. They're all, most of them are married now. So I have girls finally, which is really exciting. Yeah. But I became a children's ministry director, but I became a Christian as an adult.
Oh,
so
really?
Yes.
So I mean, Lancaster is so well known because it's such a strong hotbed of Christian ministry, and also you've got the Pennsylvania Dutch. Are all there, and I mean, Lancaster County is a place where you have lots of Pennsylvania Dutch as well, so it's well known for being a strong and thriving Christian community, but you became a Christian as an adult.
Yeah, my parents did a great job raising me in a home where Christian values were taught, but it was all here, Joe. It was not in my heart, so it took me a while to connect the dots until I was about 24. When I was a Navy wife. And so I have a heart for these kids and these people now in our country who don't even really know who God is or can't connect the dots. So, and don't want to talk Christianese. They want to talk, okay, what's really real? What's really true? So I ended up, after I came back to Pennsylvania about 20 years ago, I became a children's ministry director at a large church and was on the ground floor of starting their children's ministry. It was awesome experience. Made lots of mistakes, just to let you know, but learned a lot and brought that. I heard about Bible to school. And I'm like, you can take the Bible to kids in the school, take it to where they're at, take the church to the school, to where the kids are. And they were all coming to me at the church, and I thought, this is amazing. It's the best kept secret in America, and I'm just thrilled to be able to share it with you today.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, that's great news, of course, and I'm sure that there are people watching right now who have kids and who aren't even aware that this opportunity exists for their kids to get some Bible teaching right in the public school system. When you were a young person growing up in school, did they pray before the start of the day? I mean, I think when I was a kid, we said this Pledge of Allegiance, and there was a prayer in the public school that I went to. But I'm showing how old I am, I guess.
Yes, I actually went to a parochial school. So there always was prayer there. But that doesn't, like I said, doesn't mean that it always connects with kids and connects with your with your heart. But that prayer thing is very, very important. It's so, so important to keep the God in front of kids.
Yeah. So I like what you said. You talked about, because I think your story is a story for lots of Christian people. You were raised in a Christian home, so you certainly heard the good news of the gospel, but it wasn't until you were an adult. I mean, you knew it in your head, but you hadn't really given your heart to Christ. And you weren't serving him as such, and you made that conscious decision as an adult person to do that. And that changed your life. Does that speak to how you got to be? I mean, you started out as a volunteer for a Bible to school, but then the next thing you know, well, maybe not the next thing you know, but now you're CEO. And
I did start as a volunteer because I had to investigate, and I encourage people to investigate things. I went, what is this? How do you do this? And I just thought it was so amazing that I just had to get involved. And I'm a person that loves to build teams. I believe the body of Christ is an amazing team, and is a great blueprint for getting everybody's gifts involved. So that's where I bring to the table is how I got to be CEO, because I love to get everybody involved. Hence, I'm here today with you.
So let's say if somebody watching right now is a parent somewhere in Pennsylvania or New Jersey or Delaware or Ohio, and their child is in a public school, that's the only option, or maybe for them maybe the best option in their mind, and their child's in public school. And what if this Bible to school doesn't exist where they are? I mean, how would they bring that opportunity for their kid to, during recess, be able to hear Bible stories or study the Bible on a daily basis inside of school? How would that ever happen for them?
Sure, we would walk them through that. But I wanted to back up a little bit, because people are probably like, how is this legal? Like, what in the world? Like, what are you talking about doing the Bible during public school? So I talk at all kinds of places, and I usually get an audible gasp from the crowd saying, you can do this in public school during their lunch and their recess. And so we are an organization that we're a 40-year-old nonprofit that we equip moms and dads and grandparents to bring the Bible to those kids during public school, typically over lunch and recess. But it utilizes something called the release time court rulings. And what that is release time. It's not a prison ministry. People think that. The Bible used to be a reader in public school. Everyone had one. They used to teach the ABCs with it. But in 1914, there was a movement, early 1900s was a movement to take the Bible out of school. And so that's when the politicians kind of thought through this and thought, well, they're taking the spiritual stuff out of school. Let's give it to the community. And hence they said we can release the kids from school for typically an hour or so a week. And they the community can step in and teach it. Now, it's a federal court ruling. And so all 50 states can do this. And there's three things that make it legal. And that is, it has to be off-site. So it cannot be on school campus. You have to have parental permission, and no tax dollars can be used. So that makes it legal in all 50 states, even Hawaii. Okay, even out there, it can do this. And we're actually talking to people in Hawaii. But there might be a couple of caveats to the law. States put some things on there, In Pennsylvania, you can do it up to 36 hours a year. In Ohio, say Virginia, the school boards have to approve a release time program. So it's been pretty solid in our country. People say, is this going to change? Well, 1952, it was really challenged. And there is all the way up to the Supreme Court. And it was a subject called, the decision called Zorek versus Clausen. And everything that they upheld it. They're like, kids are mind, body, and soul, and they need spiritual training. So that's kind of how Bible to School does what it does, the legal arm of that. What we do is pretty unique. Very few organizations that do this in the country. We teach moms, dads, grandparents how to do this in their public school. We have a toolbox. We have a website for them. We have training. We have coaching. We just have everything they need. And we end up equipping the church. I'm back to building teams again. So we teach them how to build their own teams in their own community. And we have all the tools for it. So that's kind of what, in a nutshell, what we do, Joe.
That's wonderful. So I was in the video. It shows kids at their school during recess in the school being able to learn about the Bible. Is that possible at schools everywhere, or does it?
That
have to...
actually wasn't recess. That was so fun. It was our program, and that was in a church gym. So we take them offsite to a church or some place like within a 10-minute radius of the school. We either walk them or bus them, and volunteers they get them at the school, and they walk with them, and they're like, hey, how was your week? Hey, we prayed for your grandmother last week, and the relationships just start. And it's so good to have positive role models for these children. And the schools like that. Like when the community comes in and gives positive role models and help, they really, really like that. So they walk them down or bus them to offsite, and then they come in and they sit around tables. They bring their lunch with them because it's a Christian thing you do. So you got to bring food with it, and you have some camaraderie and some fellowship. They taught a Bible lesson, and the one thing that we just know is that kids have lots of questions. They have three main questions that we answer through the curriculum in the Bible is, where did I come from? What's my purpose? And what happens after I die? And the Bible answers all those questions. But we do even more by teaching them the Bible. We have some of the questions, how does God answer prayer is in one of ours. And that's the story of Isaac. And we use a stoplight for that. And we have, red light, God says no to prayer. Green light, God says yes. But yellow light, God says wait. And so we had one little boy answer, I'm yellow. He's raising his hand, and the small group leader said, what do you mean you're yellow? And he said, well, my mom's in jail and I'm waiting, and I know God is taking care of her, and I know that mine is wait. And I thought, wow, there's a little third grader who gets prayer, and most of us as adults can't do that. We have other lessons, but all hands on to really dive into it, kind of like you would say VBS alike. And we do those lessons all within about 40 minutes. We have 10 minutes to get them there, 10 minutes to get them back. So the whole thing is an hour door to door. But that small group time is the key, Joe, because these kids need a safe place to ask spiritual questions. And you asked me about my background. I didn't connect the dots. Well, this curriculum helps them connect the dots of how it applies to their life. My favorite one, and actually most kids' favorite one, is Jonah and the whale. Yeah. And it's how does God give second chances? And we have a big giant whale that is a blow up 30-foot whale that we teach you how to make. There's whales all over Pennsylvania right now, and Idaho and Tennessee where we're at. And kids go inside and they learn about Jonah, They learn about how he was thrown into cold water and the whale, they were inside the whale to God's to save them. But then they come out into small group and they have a bucket of ice water, and the boys love this. They put their hand in to see how long they can keep it in. But then they put on a blubber glove. It's really disgusting. It's a double rubber glove with Crisco lard in the middle of it, and they put it in, and they can put their hand in longer, and so they see tangibly how God gave Jonah a second chance. So we pull that right into the gospel message of Jesus giving us a second chance. So it is an amazing. We do also do worship in that 40 minutes segment, so that a lot of them don't know how to worship, Joe. They don't know how to pray. And we teach them that. So it is so fun to be able.
What about if a parent sees the growth in his or her child and then says, you know what, I have the same questions. I want to know. I don't know. I didn't grow up in a Christian household. I don't know. I have questions about where do I go when I die? What is my purpose here? What does God have for me? Are parents who want to know or who have an interest in knowing more about the Bible, or who maybe aren't yet Christians but might wish to be, can they participate somehow or another?
Yes, that's the beauty of this, is these children pull their parents to church. And so we're an organization that links them to a church. We link them to resources. We even had volunteers. This one story from last summer, there was one dad came outside and he was with the neighbor, and he said, "Hey, I didn't know you were a volunteer at Bible school. My kids go there and they love it." And he looked at him, he said, "Hey, I don't know anything about God. Can you teach me?" And so these are two neighbors connecting just because their child is going to Bible to school. So yeah, we are pulling the church in. Everybody thinks church happens on Sunday. It actually happens all during the week. So we're a testament to that.
Yeah. Well, that is your passion is so obvious by what you're saying, because it's in your heart. And what are we here for but to love our neighbors? We love ourselves. Wouldn't you want your neighbor to know? Wouldn't you want your neighbor's kid to know about the gospel, about the God we serve, who sent his son to die for us? I just think it's wonderful what you're doing, and I wish. How many of these Bible to school organizations are there in Pennsylvania?
So we have over 100 Bible classes in Pennsylvania, Idaho, and Tennessee. It's 45 public elementary schools. Here's the kicker, though. I want your audience to understand this. 53% of our kids have no church home. So we're teaching about the Bible for the very first time. And that is something that people don't realize, the mission field of the public school. So if you have a Christian, your grandchild is Christian or growing to Christian, or your child is Christian, they go to this program and they invite their friends. And they might not go to church with them, but they'll come to Bible to school with them, because it's in the middle of the week, in the middle of the school day. You parents don't have to pick them up or drop them off. It's no muss, no fuss. We are Americans. We love convenience. And it is just so impactful for us to reach out to our neighbors and to our kids' friends. So we're talking to about 17 other states right now about doing this. Texas is a big one that's going to be coming on board soon. So we're really excited that people are getting this, that we have the toolbox, we have the experience, and we can just guide them again through this. I do have to tell you one thing. I was very honored that the Washington Times had asked me to do a column for them monthly, and they had a question that I thought it would be really you guys would really be interested in, that I answered, and because I think it's a question that everybody asks, and it is They ask, how can we protect our children in public school? And 84% of Christian parents send their kids to public school. And so, some people are able to send them to Christian school. We're very blessed, but not everybody can. So what do we do? How do we protect them? And our answer is flip that paradigm. It's not how you can protect them, but how you can prepare them. And the Word of God absolutely prepares them for, shows them truth. They can recognize counterfeit when they see truth. So this is something that they're so hungry for, Joe, so hungry for.
Well, tonight we're speaking with the CEO of an organization called Bible to School, and we're getting to some of the deeper issues surrounding a parent's right and responsibility to make the right decision for their child. We'll be right back.
You're watching Joe Watkins' State of Independence on Lighthouse TV. Positively different. Share your comments about today's program in the comment box at joewatkins.org.
My guest is Kori Pennypacker, CEO of Bible to School. So Kori, tell me a little bit more about the impact that this extraordinary ministry is having in schools. We've already heard some. It's really the question that parents are asking about, how do I keep my child safe? That's such a central question that I think lots and lots of parents have. Do they have other questions as well?
Yeah, I mean, most of the kids ask, I told you, 53% of them, I don't know who God is. I mean, we answer that question all the time. Who is God? I've never heard of him. They don't know what Easter is. They don't know what Christmas is. I know at Easter, I had a group of girls with me. Then we show a video. We show the Jesus film, and it's a 3-week segment. And the first week, the girls, we say, hey, what did you learn, or what questions do you have? And a lot of these kids have seen a lot of movies, but they've never seen one of Jesus. And so these girls said, well, I have a question. What was Jesus doing with that girl that was sleeping? And I said, honey, she wasn't sleeping. She was dead, and he raised her to life. And I mean, her eyes got big, and everybody around the table, their eyes got big. And I said, and it gets better yet. He did that. He raised himself from the dead so that you could be in heaven with him someday. And in the middle of the week, in the middle of a school day, all these it was 4 out of 5 little girls bowed their heads and accepted Christ as their Savior. And it just doesn't get any better than that, Joe. I just can't explain that, but.
That is so powerful, so powerful. It's to reach kids for the gospel of Christ and to help them know who Jesus is and what he's done already and what he can do in their lives. I know it's a question probably that lots of our viewers, some of our viewers have still, and so it's great that that Bible to School answers this for kids and also for parents who want to know. I mean, leading them to church. So so you're in 3 states right now. You're in Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Idaho.
Correct.
But you hope to spread to the whole country?
Our 10-year goal is to have a Bible school program in every state in the union. So to ignite the flame, that because once one school has it, Joe, then the next school wants it, and the next school wants it. And actually, in Philadelphia, there's one going to be starting in the fall. So we really want that to take off. You're in your backyard. But we know that kids talk to other kids and they get excited about learning about God because they have spiritual questions. I had one little girl ask me, are demons real? And I was kind of shocked, kind of took me off guard. But I said, hey, yeah, demons are real, but it's better because she had a video game where she had demons and she had to name demons and she knew something was wrong. It's interesting how even if they don't know who God is, they know something, they know darkness. And I said, that's darkness. And we're going to talk about light and we're going to talk about God because God's more powerful. Good news. God's more powerful than demons. God's more powerful than the darkness. John 1:5, the light shines in the darkness and the darkness has not overcome it. And so that's what our positive message is. A lot of people ask us, Joe, if what the public schools administrators say to us. I'm sure you have that question burning with you. They are honestly, they're skeptical at first, like, okay, what are they saying? They can bring the Bible in here. It's separation of church and state. I don't know about this. But when we come in and kindly educate them and say, you know what, we understand your thoughts and your worries, but we've been doing this for 40 years. And actually, it's been since 1914. We have all the information to back them up. We have the Constitution to back us up. So their defenses come down, and we have great relationships with public schools. And I mean, there's just, don't let me wrong, there's bad actors everywhere. But we have such great alliances with Alliance Defending Freedom and Pennsylvania Family Institute, wonderful organizations, that we can kindly educate people. We don't have to yell at anybody. We don't have to scream at anybody. We can just say, hey, we can do this. And all of us want the best for kids.
Well,
and
that's wonderful.
Teaching them about obedience and, kindness and, honesty. Who doesn't want that for their kids?
I agree. Well, it's been 61 years since the United States Supreme Court determined that official Bible reading by a teacher or school official was unconstitutional. But in those 61 years, students and parents have learned that just because it's not part of the official day, individual freedom to read and live out the Bible in schools is very much alive. I hope you'll learn more about the Bible to School ministry in your community school. And if it's not there, maybe it's your time to act. I'll be right back with our great producer, Jeff Coleman.
Learn more about Joe Watkins and the mission of this program at joewatkins.net. And tell Joe what you thought about today's program in the comment box.
And now let's talk to our great producer, Jeff Coleman.
Well, you mentioned the Supreme Court decision. President Kennedy was president when that major decision was debated, and then the Supreme Court ruled that it could no longer be a part of the official day of a child's school. It wasn't going to be coming from a teacher or a principal or administrator. And there was a big outcry for decades afterwards, that a kind of a tug of war in the country about whether or not it was a good decision or a bad decision. But ultimately, not having the teacher or the school do it, but having people who the student could access, who maybe a parent or a volunteer, probably a little better. Probably the way that this is working out, volunteers in the community using free time, not coerced, not being a part of the official curriculum. Very exciting to see the way that God works, no matter what the obstacle is in the way.
Yeah. Did you have prayer at school when you were a kid?
I went to Christian school, so
yeah,
we
so you
sure
did.
did.
Yeah, great. Well, before the Russian opposition leader was killed, most likely by order of the president himself, the Russian president himself, he gave witness to the God he served. I'm a believer, he said, and that helps me a lot in my activities because everything becomes much, much easier. I think about things less. There are fewer dilemmas in my life because there is a book, the Bible, in which in general it is more or less clearly written what action to take in every situation. It's not always easy to follow this book, of course, but I'm actually trying. Do you trust the Bible enough to stake your life on it? Alexei Navalny did. Kori Pennypacker does and has, and so have I. Write me about how today's conversation impacted your life. I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me in the comment box at joewatkins.org. I'll read and respond to everyone. From America's first capital, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, I'm Joe Watkins. For Jeff Coleman and the entire Lighthouse team, thanks so much for watching. God willing, I'll see you next week.
Did you have prayer in school?
I did.
Was it the same prayer every?
I think it was some kind of a similar,
formal. Joe Watkins' State of Independence is a production of Lighthouse TV, positively different. Made possible in part because of the support of viewers like you.